This video is sponsored by Squarespace. Stick around to the end to find out how you can make a stunning and gorgeous website. Hello everybody, welcome to Mike's Mic. My name is currently being reported as Mike. Greetings loved ones, let's take a journey. I know a place. And that place is September 2006. I've finally done it. I've reached the pinnacle of the MMCU, the Mike's Mic Cinematic Universe. Yeah, let's talk about the reason why I'm wearing a beret. Well, if you take the letters in Slay and you rearrange them and you completely remove them and replace them with the letters in beret, you get beret. Initially, this video was going to be a deep dive into representations of time travel in movies and TV. And that, of course, was inspired by my Lost series, which, side note, I had to watch the entire show again. Yes, the entire show to do my season 2 video. So that hopefully explains why it's taken so long. Good news though, is that should make seasons 3 to 6 quicker. Hopefully. Anyway, yes, I am so extremely obsessed with time travel and I wanted to dive into it, perhaps in a deep capacity, yes. But that's not really a video that just appears. So that's a work in progress for now. Remember, I famously have a master's degree in mechanical engineering, so I wanted to come at this from a STEM angle. I usually try not to talk about what I'm writing because these birds copy every word, every inch. But yes, a Mike's Mic time travel video is potentially happening. Now, one of the examples that first came to mind when I started writing that video was the TV show Heroes. I can't explain to you how central to my 2006 and 2007 this show was. Like, oh my god, I was gagging. It's a show about people discovering they have superpowers. Like, of course, I'm going to be obsessed. So I thought, great, let's do a perfect pilots episode about Heroes, which premiered on the 25th of September 2006. But see, the thing is, I also wanted to do a perfect pilots episode about Ugly Betty. As we know, I've talked about The Devil Wears Prada and Confessions of a Shopaholic, so it's scientifically correct that I will talk about Ugly Betty. And then what happened next was borderline bonkers. I had a feeling that these shows, Ugly Betty and Heroes, were airing at the same time. So I googled it, and Ugly Betty premiered the exact same week at the end of September 2006. I simply could not believe it. Is that not the most me shit to ever happen? A campy show about a fashion magazine and a show about people having superpowers. Hello? And get this, that same week in September 2006, The Devil Wears Prada came out in Australia. Yes, I will be time traveling to that week at some point, mark my words. So all of that to say that this video is a double perfect pilots episode covering Ugly Betty and Heroes. Let's go. I'm going to start with the Ugly Betty pilot because I think it's better than the Heroes pilot, which might sound preposterous, but it's true. The IMDb description is smart but wholesome Betty embraces her unique appearance and independent attitude in the cutthroat world of New York fashion. Oh, and see, the thing is, we know about the cutthroat world of New York fashion. It's actually cerulean. And you're also blithely unaware of the fact that in 2002, Oscar de la Renta did a collection of cerulean gowns. And I think it was Yves Saint Laurent, wasn't it, who showed cerulean military jackets? I think we need a jacket here. Yeah. That is stashed up there, ready to go at any point in time. Ugly Betty is based on a Colombian telenovela called Yo Soy Betty la Fea, which translates to I Am Betty the Ugly. And actually, the American version was nearly called Betty the Ugly, which I don't know, that feels more vicious than Ugly Betty, so I'm glad they went with Ugly Betty. The original Colombian version was a daily soap opera with endless cliffhangers. Okay, Bold and the Beautiful. Get into this Young and the Restless realness. Ugly Betty, however, was a weekly comedy drama which sometimes had cliffhangers. Like, don't get it twisted, there are still cliffs to hang from. The main character is Betty Suarez, played by America Ferrera. America Ferrera was 22 when Betty Suarez was 22. Imagine that. Imagine that. And Miss Ferrera absolutely ate up the girls in award season for her work on this show. In 2007, she won the Golden Globe for Best Performance in a Television Series, the SAG Award and Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Lead Actress in a Comedy Series. The show itself won the Golden Globe for Best Comedy Series for Season 1. It's worth noting that the main competition in these categories was Desperate Housewives. Oh. If only someone was making a series about Desperate Housewives. I'm not going to lie to you guys, it's probably too hot to be wearing a beret. And you can see my cheeks going red. But I must supper for fashion. Supper for fashion? I'm hungry. I must supper for fashion. We open with Betty nervously waiting to be called in for a job interview, and she's talking to this girl sitting next to her texting.
I like your poncho. My dad got me one in Guadalajara.
Milan, Dolce & Gabbana, fall.
I love this scene because we immediately get Betty's name.
Betty Suarez?
Hi, that's me.
I love it when shows do this. Barely 30 seconds in and we already know that the main character's name is Betty Suarez. Let's talk about Betty's ugly fit. This would do numbers in a TikTok photo dump. Yes, TikTok photo dump. The bayonetta glasses, the bee necklace, the bag, the clashing prints, which also feels quite Alessandro Michele alla Gucci. So the HR guy takes one look at Betty and decides that she's too ugly to work for this ooh la la fancy magazine publishing company.
I know most of your magazines inside out. I try to devour as much as I can.
Clearly.
Ooh, just nasty work. While the HR guy's kicking her out, an older man's watching this all happen from a balcony. Hold on. Is that Charles Widmore from Lost? Yes, divas, it is. This guy's name is Bradford Mead, and he's the big boss at Mead Publications. Did you guys hear that? What was that? Big boss?
Get off my back. Got it?
Cut to Betty's home, and her nephew Justin is watching Selma Hayek in a telenovela.
I hate telenovelas. I want to watch fashion TV.
Now, Justin is iconic, capitals, capital ICONIC, for those that can't spell.
Come have some flan. I don't want flan. I'll get fat.
He's kind of standing like the monkey in the Apple store, and let's celebrate that. We meet Betty's sister Hilda, who's a Herbalux seller, which I think is like Thermomix. And we also meet their dad, Ignacio. They're talking about how Betty didn't get the job, and her dad tells Hilda how writing is Betty's dream, so she's got to stick it out. And speaking of big dreams...
But I hear somebody else has some pretty big dreams too.
Walter was on his cell phone talking to someone and he said, "She's the one."
His line delivery is so good. Walter turns up and gives Betty a returned PC towel because he works at the computer shop. He kind of looks like this kid from Jimmy Neutron mixed with Linguini from Ratatouille. Now let's hear a little commotion for Hilda's outfit. I just know that the individual pieces of this outfit are currently listed on Depop, and we need one of our strongest divas to assemble all the pieces like Exodia. Walter wants to talk to Betty. Oh my god. He's going to propose. They go outside and Walter reveals...
I'm in love with someone else.
Devastating news. But with who? Well, Gina Gambaro, who lives 2 doors down.
Good luck, Betty. With everything.
Oh, that was a bit awkward, but that has no effect on me. I didn't feel that cringe at all. Meanwhile, Justin is watching fashion TV, and there's a story about the funeral of Faye Summers, the editor-in-chief of Mode magazine. Let's just take a second here to look at the glasses and bob and combine that with the name Faye Summers. Anna Wintour, you're nothing. This shit is so funny. The unknown birth year, that is so Mariah Carey core, if you know, you know. See, I love this context drop via fashion TV. It feels like such a fun way to let the audience know what's happening without it feeling like information overload. So what's the tea? Well, apparently Mode magazine creative director Wilhelmina Slater was a shoo-in for Faye Summers' job, but then it was given to Daniel Mead, the son of Charles Widmore from Lost. Well, if it isn't my arch nemesis, my arch nemesis, my arch nemesis, nepotism. Mr. Daniel Mead, he gets around, right?
Can the notorious man whore translate his talents at bedding women into dressing them?
He's got no experience, and now he's the editor-in-chief. Don't piss me off. He also sleeps with all his assistants, and his dad says,
"This is not the way you run a magazine."
Betty's all depresso after the de-Walterification of her love life, but then suddenly she randomly gets a phone call from
Some guy from Meat Publications.
Me?
She got the job. She's now assistant to the editor-in-chief of Mode magazine.
Just try and dress fashionably.
Betty pulls up to her first day at Mode magazine. Again, this outfit is supposed to be ew, boo, ugly, but it's so good. It's so funny how cyclical fashion is. Like, I know some of the girls are taking notes right now. Also, I absolutely love this office.
Oh my god.
In the original script for the pilot, this is where Act 2 starts. Betty walks towards the headset-wearing receptionist, Amanda, late 20s. Unlike most of the natural beauties gracing the framed gloss covers on the walls, Amanda's a knockout who's had to work at it. Tireless hours at the gym, dermatologist Jenny Craig. She smiles politely. Hi, are you the before?
Hi, you the before? Huh? Before and after? The photo shoot?
Idge Bowl. IJBOL. Idge Bowlings are now. Amanda takes Betty to the conference room where Daniel's about to start his first meeting, and I love how she immediately messes up Betty's name.
I'm Amanda, by the way.
Betty.
Okay, FYI, Betsy.
That's not actually in the original script, but it's such a good addition. Amanda's mad because she applied for the job that Betty has and didn't get it because she was told that she didn't have enough experience. But suddenly here's Betty, someone with no experience, sliding into an assistant role with the editor-in-chief. So what's that about?
You are an attractive, intelligent, confident businesswoman.
The mantra is so me.
So I gotta confess, I'm probably not gonna remember everyone's names, and I'm really,
There's just something about people falling over. Whoa. Why's my hand shaking? Something about people falling over. It's just a certain, cerebral kind of comedy. Like, it's so highbrow. to laugh when someone falls over. So Daniel's running this meeting, and then boom, Wilhelmina walks in.
I'd like to take the moment to talk a little about
So sorry
the
I'm
ideas
late.
Miss Wilhelmina. Ooh, the motherings.
Oh, you began without me.
Sorry, Wilhelmina. I waited.
Mark, gift.
Let's read her description in the script. Just then, the door flies open and in trumps Wilhelmina Slater. If Leona Hemsley's sperm fertilized Jackie O's egg, this would be their love child. Trailing behind her, preppy, perfectly put together, bitchy male assistant, Mark. Mark's visuals, to me, are kind of giving Kurt pre-debut mixed with the Blue Neighborhood era. I am simply obsessed with Wilhelmina Slater. She gives Daniel a gift, a crystal paperweight commemorating his first day as editor-in-chief.
Thank you, but it is Daniel, not Danny.
What? I'm hellaciously upset, Mark.
I'm hellaciously upset, Mark. Also, the music?
Oh my god, I'm so sorry.
Shh. Purge this from memory, please.
So Wilhelmina comes into this meeting and she immediately starts taking charge, saying that they need to focus on the Fabio Cosmetics editorial layout.
The biggest ad buy of the year and the only paid layout editorial ever works on.
Daniel's kind of thrown. He's like, whoa, okay, fashion lady. After the meeting, Betty introduces herself to Daniel and says that she's his new assistant. And he's like, oh, that's not... The next scene is Mark giving Wilhelmina Botox and they're having a bitch session about Daniel.
Nepotistic son of a bitch gives my job to his son, who knows nothing about fashion.
Just everything about this is so fun.
What do you want me to do with the leftover?
All yours.
Then Wilhelmina's phone rings and she answers it saying, how are you recovering, darling?
I'm sure you'll feel better once everything here starts coming to a boil.
Daniel has a meeting with a photographer named Philippe who's going to shoot the Fabio campaign. Amanda tells Betty apparently there was some drama a while ago because Daniel slept with Philippe's ex-girlfriend, but they're fine now, there's no issue. The guy who plays Philippe also plays Roman, Blair's dad's boyfriend in Gossip Girl. The MMCU grows stronger with each video. Daniel tells Philippe that he thinks that Wilhelmina's trying to sabotage him with the Fabio campaign, so he's going to get Philippe to help him. Betty comes into the room and while trying to compliment Philippe's work, she accidentally pisses him off, and afterwards he says this.
She appears to be good, capable.
Fugly.
I thought this was a classy party. He tells Daniel that Betty is too ugly to work for him and he needs to make her quit by being mean to her. It's lunchtime and at the cafeteria, no one wants Betty to sit with them, but she ends up making a friend named Christina who works in the closet. That's closet with a capital C, the capital C closet. I would say that Christina is nice, quirky lady, and she introduces Betty to a couple of her friends, Zelda and Nancy.
It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
It's the bizarro version of Sex and the City.
Stop it, I'm gagging.
Stop it, I'm gagging. Bradford Mead meets up with some shady looking guy at the park and asks him to double, triple check that Faye Summers is actually dead. Then there's a montage of Daniel being an asshole to Betty to make her want to quit. She misses her dad's birthday because she's working, which feels so Andy Sachs Devil Wears Prada. Daniel is hanging out with Amanda and it sounds like he's promised her a new job, the job that Betty currently has. But Betty's going to be quitting soon, so I guess that works out well. Betty goes home and it looks like she actually ordered extra guilt with her meal because it was the first of her dad's birthdays that she's missed since her mother died. Betty sees an old photo of her putting makeup on her mum's face and she's like, light bulb. Let me writing this down. The next day, Betty tries to show Daniel her idea, but he's not giving her anything. He didn't give her anything. No things were given, so you could say he gave her nothing. He's like, yep, yappa, 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 Betty, doing a lot of yappa, yappa, yappa. What I need you to do is go pick up one of the outfits from the capital C closet and bring it to the Fabio photo shoot. So she goes to the closet and chats with Christina, who's actually so nice. And Betty says how she wanted to show Daniel her idea for the Fabio cosmetic spread and he gave her nothing, etc, etc. Then Christina tells Betty that Nancy overheard people saying that Bradford hired Betty because he didn't want his son Daniel to be tempted to sleep with his assistants anymore. Oh. Sister Betty Betty is going through it. It's just something sinister. Betty's obviously upset and runs off to the photo shoot with the dress, but accidentally leaves her Fabia Ideas folio in the capital C closet. At the photo shoot, Philippe and Daniel get Betty to stand in for test shots because one of the models hasn't shown up, and that involves Betty dressing up in this, and everyone laughs at her. Mama, that's harassment. She needs to end them. Also, she doesn't even look bad. Literally every time they do this, ooh, she's so ugly thing, it's like, Betty feels humiliated and runs off, and Daniel chases after her. She quits, and Daniel feels bad. Aww. You feel bad for being a piece of shit to her? Aww. She sees Gina hooking up with Walter and feloniously barges into her house to give her a spray, but it turns out Gina dumped Walter, but he still gave her 30% off a flat screen TV. Daniel shows Fabia the car crash themed photo shoot, and she fucking hates it.
This is freaking Joe, right? Stupido.
Stupido.
All of you. Stupido.
Notice how her assistants always just have a cigarette in hand? Okay, tobacco divas. Turns out Fabia is a bit sensitive to car crash themed photo shoots because about a month ago she backed her SUV into a crowd of 12 people. Miss Diva Mother Supreme Wilhelmina sitting there like, not my problem, Danny. You didn't even want to include me in the creative. Reveal time, Wilhelmina and Philippe are in cahoots.
To teamwork.
To revenge.
Exactly. This is what we want to see. 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 Daniel manages to convince his dad to get him one more chance with Fabia, and he finds Betty's ideas folio on his desk. Looks like Oomph of the Year nominee Christina left it there. Yes, Tina Gagwalira. Walter turns up to Betty's house trying to get her back, just as Daniel turns up to apologize and try and get her to come back to mode. There's a double trauma dump, yappa. But Betty decides to come back as Daniel's assistant, and they're going to show Fabia Betty's concept, and he's going to give Betty credit. Betty's concept for the shoot is small moments between mothers and daughters, and Fabia loves it.
I just had a daughter. I do none of those things. But I can understand.
When Bradford congratulates them, Betty says that it was Daniel's idea so that he can keep his job.
The idea was actually
His best one, don't you think?
If it were me, I wouldn't have done that. I feel like there hasn't been enough of a connection between the two characters to justify her doing that. I know he apologized, but I don't know if it's enough. We then get an insane scene of Wilhelmina talking to an injured woman in a high fashion hospital room.
I'm very unhappy. Once he's out of the picture, the company will be ours for the taking.
The ways in which that scene alone caused many seedings. I think many people were seeded for the season after that scene. It's so silly, and I love silly TV. I'm a silly TV supporter. Let's go silly TV. At the end of the episode, Betty walks away from a chat with Daniel, and KT Tunstall Suddenly I See is playing.
She's a beautiful girl. Suddenly I see.
Excuse me? That is literally from the Devil Wears Prada intro scene.
Suddenly I see. But this is what I want to be. Suddenly I see.
This is so serious and important, and the seriousness and importance can't be overstated. Remember, in Australia, these two things came out in the same week. Miss KT Tunstall was staying paid. Okay, so that was fun, right? Funny jokes, ridiculous plot points. Some of the jokes and comments against Betty are a bit but conceptually, I think it's a really solid pilot. It makes you want to find out what happens next, which is literally what a pilot should do. Now, let's completely 180 and jump 3 days into the past to September 25th, 2006, to the pilot episode of Heroes. Guys, so much is happening this week. Sexy Back by Justin Timberlake is #1 on the Billboard Hot 100, and his album Future Sex Love Sounds is #1 on the Billboard 200. Flop Maya is at 2, and Beyonce B-Day is at #3. JoJo's just jumped 63 spots up the singles chart with Too Little Too Late, causing Fergie's London Bridge to drop 2 spots, and the Pussycat Dolls are barely hanging on to the top 10. And amongst all this pop culture, we have Heroes. Common people discover that they have superpowers. Their lives intertwine as a devastating event must be prevented. Yup. What gags me about this show is that it's not based on anything. The creator Tim Kring just pulled up with these characters and plots. There's definitely similarities to existing IP such as X-Men, but I think those kinds of comparisons are always going to happen, especially in an ensemble superhero show. One of the characters in the pilot actually directly references an X-Men comic issue, which is fun. Do I think that X-Men is better? Well, absolutely. Interestingly, the narrative structure of Heroes also references comic book storytelling by having volumes inside the seasons. Season 1 of Heroes had the third largest ensemble cast in American primetime TV at the time, behind Desperate Housewives and Lost. Yup. Also, the 2007 Golden Globes, where Ugly Betty won Best Comedy Series, Heroes was nominated for Best Drama Series, competing with Season 3 of Lost. There was also a nomination for Marcy Oka as Hero. Love him. Love him. Love. More on him soon. This cast contains some absolute gems, and I'll talk about them as we meet them in the episode. But two that I wanted to flag because they're not in the pilot are Greg Grunberg as Matt Parkman and Kristen Bell as Elle Bishop. Greg Grunberg is the pilot in the pilot of Lost, and Kristen Bell voices Gossip Girl. The MMCU. Heroes starts with this title sequence, and who do we have doing a voiceover? Well, it's brackets Indian Man. Also, this symbol, I don't know what her intentions are. So the voiceover is talking about humans wanting to solve life's mysteries, and what we can see is a guy standing on a roof.
Why are we here? What is the soul? Why do we dream? Perhaps we'd be better off not looking at all.
Chapter 1, Genesis. I feel like the title being stuck to something in frame is so 2000s, even though I definitely have seen it recently, but I just can't place where. Guy on the roof falls off said roof, and the shot changes to gliding through New York City as if from the perspective of someone flying. It's the guy on the roof's dream, and he wakes up. His name is Peter, and he's played by Milo Ventimiglia, who you might recognize from the Fergie Big Girls Don't Cry music video and nothing else, because that's all he's been in. Peter is a nurse looking after this old guy and seems to be close to the guy's daughter, Simone.
That would make us like brother and sister. Might be a little awkward if I ever wanted to ask you out.
Dating somebody.
Yeah, no, really, it's okay.
Then we're jumping to 3 days ago in India, and voiceover guy Mohinder is teaching a class about evolution and suggests that perhaps genetic variations are already happening.
Teleportation, levitation, tissue regeneration. Is this outside the realm of possibility?
The students are just kind of like, Mohinder's colleague shows up, and we get this fun little context drop.
I know, I'm beginning to sound like my father. I can't help it. You know, they can fire me too if they like.
Just from that, we have the father was a geneticist who ranted about evolution and finding these genetic variations. The father was fired for said rants, and now the son is mid-rantification phase. Well, the colleague is there to say that Mohinder's father... he's also died. He died in New York City, and Mohinder suspects foul play because his father called him 2 days ago, convinced someone was following him and wanted to steal his research. He goes to his father's old apartment to get his research because apparently he was close to a breakthrough and headed to New York to chase his patient Zero. In the apartment, there's a map with pins and strings everywhere. Oh, the appropriately unhinged recap of Pretty Little Liars of it all. Then from another room in the apartment, a phone rings. Some American guy is taking evidence, and he's wearing these sassy little glasses. Mohinder manages to take a photo of the map and bolts before the guy sees him, and he's off to New York. Over in Las Vegas, Nevada, also known as Las Slagas Yas Gaga, Nikki is doing a cam show. When she leaves the room, there's some weirdness with her reflection, and she Wendy's a bit.
What was that? Okay, James.
Nikki goes to get her son Micah ready for school, and he's soldering a computer or some shit. I don't know what it was, but when I was watching Heroes at age 11, this kid pissed me off. He's like a super genius or some shit. I think we're all super geniuses. The doorbell rings, and Nikki tells Micah to grab his stuff and wait near the back door. Two scary men break down the door, and they're looking for Nikki.
Where the is Nikki at?
The next character that we meet is Claire Bennett, played by Hayden Panettiere, and her introduction is her jumping from 80 feet face first into the ground.
Camera ready?
Oh my...
This is Claire Bennett. That was attempt number 6.
She is such a cool character, and that intro, ooh. The flavors. Many have tried to acquire these tastes from around the globe, but these flavors, they're from a certain week in 2006, never to be replicated. Seems like her thing is cell regeneration. She heals super quick. Peter has another dream that he's flying, except this time his brother Nathan Petrelli is also there. Okay, wired headphones. I use wired headphones a lot, and people always ask me why I use them, thinking that I'm just trying to be edgy, but there's absolutely a reason. AirPods or wireless earbuds are for working out or excessive sweating environments. Wireless headphones are for travel or general long unbroken periods of listening. Wired headphones are for when I don't want to use Bluetooth or I'm connected to a computer or something, and wired earphones are for when I'm anticipating making calls while out. And see, the thing is, and this is my belief, the microphone on wired earphones is so much better than that on wireless earphones. Sorry to the AirPod purists, but it's the truth, and it's literally 10% of the price. So what now? Anyway, Peter meets up with his brother Nathan, who's a politician. He wants to be Trip Vanderbilt so bad. Peter tells Nathan that he's having all these dreams about being able to fly. And Nathan's like, right. Can we please acknowledge that Peter is such a good character name? Like, it just works as a character name. I don't know how to explain it. Like, Peter, that's Peter. Peter lives in the city. Like, it just works. Peter. SpongeBob. Hey fellas, look, it's Squidward. Nathan gets a call and it turns out their mother has been arrested for shoplifting. Diva down. Nathan's mad, but Peter's just kind of like, that's iconic.
I'm so depressed.
Me and Winter simply cannot look at Sister Hayden without thinking about the Until Dawn movie that just got announced. If I was in charge of casting, I would get Sabrina Carpenter as Sam. Do you see the vision? Well, of course you see it, because it just makes sense. Final girl Sabrina Carpenter. Now, Miss Claire is mad as hell.
I'm a freak show.
You're being a little dramatic, don't you think?
I have busted like every bone in my body. I've just a 2-foot steel rod through my neck and I don't have a scratch on me.
On their way home, they come across this huge burning train wreck and Claire runs in and saves someone.
Turn on the camera.
There's no burns.
Now let's jump over to Japan, which is exactly what I'll be doing at the end of February. Office worker Hiro is trying to stop the second hand on his clock and actually manages to move it back 1 second. So he goes to tell his bestie. Love Hiro. Also, naming one of the main characters in the TV show Heroes Hero. Oh, that's masterful. Hiro's bestie Ando is like, okay, girl. And he goes back to watching Nikki's feed. Doing all that on the work computer is crazy. Cut to Micah and Nikki at Micah's school. Micah's got these shoes on and I kind of need them. These would fit right in, walking down Brunswick Street in Fitzroy. The principal is kicking them out of the school, and it seems to be because he thinks they're too yuck poor to be there, and Nikki gets quite aggressive. On the way out, she sees her reflection in the fish tank.
Too good for this lousy school. Leave me alone.
Wait a minute. Why is there
reflection
of me on
the fish tank? Imagine being like the receptionist at that school. You'd be like, why this lady yelling, leave me alone at the fish tank? Nikki drops Micah off at her friend's house to go take care of business. Sounds like she borrowed 30 grand from Lindemann. From the mob. Beat it, toots. Mohinder goes to his dad's New York apartment and that's also been searched. It's the ops. His dad had ops. New character alert, Isaac. Or Isaac, as I say it. They keep saying Isaac. And I'm like, it's Isaac. I went to school with an Isaac and he cut his leg open with a Stanley knife. Just thought you want to know that. Isaac's pouring black paint all over his paintings. Simone pulls up and looks like they're dating. She's like, whoa. What's going on here, toots? Isaac explains that he doesn't remember painting the paintings and he was high when he did them. Also, the paintings, they seem to be coming true. He painted an explosion 3 weeks ago. There was an identical explosion yesterday. He painted Claire's train crash. What's going on? Peter gets in a taxi. Sir, give me those glasses immediately. The taxi driver is Mohinder. There's a solar eclipse. Peter's sitting in the back running his mouth about being meant to do something extraordinary. And Mohinder's like, let me listening and observing. Nikki gets home and her place has been ransacked. What a silly little word. Anyway, watch out, toots. They're still in the house. She tries to run away, but they take her to her recording room. They want her to strip to lower her debt, but then something happens. She sees her reflection doing weird shit again, and she's distracted, so one of the guys knocks her out. She wakes up, and there's blood everywhere, and one of the guys is literally ripped in half. One of the boys shat in it. Nikki's horrified, like, what the fuck happened? And she looks in the mirror, and her reflection's like, okay, Aria Montgomery, Pretty Little Liars intro, I see you. Seems like this evil mirror version of Nikki took over and murdered these bad guys. One could say that Toots has beaten it. Simone calls Peter asking to meet, so he gets out of Mohinder's taxi. And who gets in? And who do I see? Sassy Glasses Guy. Rot-roll raggy. Glasses Guy starts talking about Mohinder's dad, and he's like, So he gets out of the taxi and runs away. Now, Simone called Peter because she wanted him to come help Isaac, who's overdosed. The next scene is iconic. Claire's washing dishes and talking to her mum and drops her ring down the garbage disposal. So she reaches in to grab her ring and absolutely fucks up her hand. I can't show it. It's too gruesome, but like this, it looks like this. Oh my God, this was the talk of September 26, 2006. I genuinely got chills watching this again because the first time I watched it, I was so gagged. I remember being in the living room watching it and thinking, oh my God, time and place. And my mum being like, oh, I shouldn't have let you watch this. So Claire's hand starts healing, but she's talking to her mum, so she's got to hide her hand behind her back.
You are interesting. You breed show dogs. Whose mom does that?
Have I told you all the story about how I found out my high school maths teacher bred show dogs? Then Claire's dad gets home, and it turns out he is sassy glasses guy. Back in Japan, Ando doesn't believe that Hiro can break the space-time continuum. On the train home from work, Hiro sees a sign for New York City and teleports there. Gag. I don't really understand the significance of the clock changing when he teleports. Initially, I thought it was indicative of the time zone change, but that can't be right because New York is 14 hours behind Tokyo. Also, does he just totally vanish and suddenly appear? Let's get some tests going, okay? I need more information. Simone and Peter try to help Isaac after his overdose, and Peter's like, why is there a painting of me flying? While high, Isaac has also painted a huge explosion in New York City and says, we have to stop it. Yup. Yup. The end of the episode is Mohinder yapping over the top of Peter standing on a roof.
They're here. Among us.
Among us. Give me those shoes. Like, you don't need that drip. Nathan's at the bottom of the building and Peter jumps off. He's not flying. He's giving very much falling, very much confined by the laws of physics. But then Nathan flies up to him and catches him and then drops him. Bam, bam, bam. End of pilot. Yes, it's a bit messy, but the bones are there. The bones are there. I think that last week in September 2006 fundamentally changed my brain. 100% absolutely no questions asked nor answered. Because there were no questions to be answered, because there were 100% absolutely no questions asked. At the time, I think I liked Heroes way more, but after watching them both again, I think Ugly Betty takes it for me. I also feel like it's aged better. Yes, some of the jokes are a bit much, but overall it's still a very funny show, and Heroes has an issue with the CGI, because the effects would have been good for 2006, but watching it now, you're just kind of like, ew. I don't remember much from after the first season of Ugly Betty, so that must have been where I dropped off. For Heroes, I think I made it to the end of season 3 out of the 4 seasons. But guys, let's be serious. If we're talking about shows aging well, it's absolutely going to go ahead and be Lost, because that show is just excellence. Speaking of Lost, I need to get back to work. Work that I do on my computer. Work that involves me researching on websites. So now would be a great time to mention that this video is sponsored by Squarespace. Squarespace gives people a powerful and stylish online platform from which you can build your own website. Squarespace has a plethora of professional website templates that are unique, fresh, and customizable. So you can make changes to the look of the site, update content, and add features to make your site stand out. Maybe you want to engage with your audience or customers more directly through Squarespace email campaigns. You can send welcome emails, discount codes, updates, and then see what people are responding to using the built-in analytics. Maybe you're setting up an online store. What are you selling? Well, Squarespace has you covered for selling digital, physical, and service products. The possibilities are limitless because there is no limit to the possibilities. Do you know what I mean? You can even implement features like real-time shipping rates. The girls are going to be Christina Aguilera GIF clicking add to cart in no time. Go to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/Mike. You thought it was going to be here, but it's up here. That's MIKESMIC to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Thanks again to Squarespace for sponsoring this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.